It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We've got a great program for you today, so please hit that share button and keep us growing. Today, we have a real quick shout out. The Freedom Project Academy, our Judeo-Christian classical online school for students, kindergarten through high school, officially opens for fall enrollment Tuesday, April 12th. But if you're interested in this kind of an alternative for your child's education, request a free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. Much more to come on that in the future. Today, we're kicking things off with our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Duke. Great to be with you.
Well, it's always great to have you on because while we're fussing about what's going on in the United States as if this was a universal thing, you are always reminding us, pay attention to what the globalists are doing, not necessarily the half-baked Joe Biden and his feckless crew. And so tell us what's going on globally with regards to transgenderism.
Well, thank you, Duke. And the UN, actually, on this International Transgender Day of Visibility, which was March 31st, the UN unveiled this new program. They call it Unbox Me. It's a UN program to push transgender indoctrination to children all over the world. They partnered with an Indian advertising agency, and they are just so proud that they're going to be pushing this transgenderism into school classrooms around the world. It seems like at this point the only places that aren't doing it are mostly the Islamic nations, Russia and China. But all across the Western world, Asia, the Indian subcontinent, of course, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, this transgenderism indoctrination is just becoming absolutely ubiquitous, and the UN is very, very pleased about it.
ये चूड़ियां मैं बचपन में पहनती थी। ये सब मतलब देखकर ना मैं थोड़ी इमोशनल हो रही हूँ।
So I'm gonna open this. It says Santosh Kumar.
This is Lakshman's box.
A razor.
A nail polish. A lovely bracelet.
And we also have a little note.
I like to look in the mirror when no one else is looking.
Let's look at children in the way that they look at themselves. Let no child have to hide from the world.
We know that for Islamic countries, it's the religious, the reasons they're not doing it. But why do you speculate that China and Russia, because this is clearly going to contribute to the undercutting of Western values. So I can see why they would promote that, but not use it in their countries. What is it about these ideologies that the Marxist countries are standing aside from?
Well, I think they have it in their mind that they want to become dominant players globally, and they know their military, their economy is not going to be functioning well if their men are confused about what gender they are, what bathroom they ought to be going in. So China has actually taken really overt steps. They actually banned portrayals of girly men on the television, of feminized men, because they want their men to be manly, because they'll be better soldiers, they'll be better workers, they'll be better providers for their families, etc. So, I think the Chinese and the Russians are the governments, at least, are doing this for strategic purposes, but no doubt they love it that American schools, that Canadian schools, that German schools, that Indian schools are peddling this stuff to the poor little children.
Well, tell me how this, our listeners, how exactly these laws and these international initiatives are going to work.
Well, the advertising partnership is designed to put out propaganda at the children, and actually the UN says right in their own announcement about this that they're working with educators to train them on how to peddle this stuff in the classroom to children. And I think the place we see it most clearly, at the moment at least, is in the United States. As I go over in my article, it's at FreedomProject.com. the Biden administration, just on the same International Transgender Day of Visibility or whatever, they unveiled this massive battery of new programs, funds, weaponized agencies to peddle this stuff. They're talking about tax funded, they call it now gender affirming care, because sex change was kind of unpopular. The term got a bad smell to it, so now they call it gender affirming care. But they're talking about they're going to push this on children. The Department of Justice on this day sent out letters to every state attorney general claiming that the Constitution requires them to accept this stuff. They basically, it was a threat, basically. If you don't allow boys and males in girls' bathrooms, if you don't allow males to participate in female sports, we're going to use the full power of the federal government to come after you. They announced new training programs to train school leaders on how to peddle this stuff to kids. The Secretary of Education had a big roundtable down here in Florida, not so subtly threatening the states that are passing legislation to stop this stuff, including, of course, my state. Our legislature passed overwhelmingly, and our governor signed legislation protecting children 9 and under, 3rd grade and under, from LGBT indoctrination. And, you would have thought that this was something controversial. As far as I'm concerned, the controversial part is that we are even having this discussion. I mean, anybody who wants to sexualize 9-year-old kids, 8-year-old kids, kindergarten children, doesn't belong anywhere near a child. And yet you have the entire apparatus of the federal government coming down on Florida telling us that this is unacceptable. So they're making big moves. This International Transgender Day of Visibility was a big opportunity for them to push it into the classroom. And it's already proving devastating, Duke. You and I have talked about this, but the number of transgender children, so-called, is absolutely exploding, and that's going to keep skyrocketing as long as we keep doing this.
Yeah, why would you commit to a gender if you could be any gender you want at any time? I could live my life 90 years and one day, and 90 years of that I can be male, but that one day I might want to be something different. Why would anybody align with a gender? And furthermore, tell me if I'm right about this. We can't define women, but we absolutely know what a man is. We can't define a woman. A man is anything that a woman can do, like menstruate or have babies, but we still can't define women at the Supreme Court justice level. Meanwhile, we're protecting little kids' rights to be surgically altered at 7, 8, and 10 years old, but we are extending abortion rights through all 9 months, and you have some now people arguing, why not be able to allow parents to abort their children after they're born for 2 or 3 years? Does all that make sense to you on a global stage?
Yeah, if you are completely gone in your mind, maybe that makes sense. But it's so nefarious what they're doing here, Duke. And they're actually using transgenderism as an out for children. Right? Their teachers are standing up in the classroom and saying, look, if you have light skin, you are automatically an oppressor by default. But look, there's a way out. If you claim to be some new gender, then you're an oppressed minority too. So then you don't have to be the bad guy. You can be one of the victims. And so you got all these poor little kids jumping on the bandwagon. It's so sad to see it, Duke. And if anybody were to stop and spend 30 seconds thinking about this clearly, it would be obvious that this is a fraud of immense proportions.
With all the censorship taking place on social media platforms, we've made it easy to keep up with your favorite content. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app in your app store. Get access to 18 new videos a week, plus thousands of archived shows, lecture series, and educational animations. Download the Freedom Project Media app on your Apple TV, Roku, tablet, or phone, and make sure you allow for notifications to keep you informed.
If the saying holds up, April showers will bring our May flowers. But if Joe Biden opens his mouth and says it so, then we'll get nothing but rot. Because we are living in a perpetual rainy day. And every time Joe opens his mouth, a flood of stupid pours out.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Barack Obama's vice president. And I'm Jill Biden's husband. By the way, the only reason Jill's not here today, she's working. She's teaching. And so I just want you to know that's why she's not here.
I get it. That's a joke that the Brobamas have been doing for 14 years now. It's not funny, but, whatever. I'm more concerned with these optics. Poor, sad, confused old Joe. He doesn't know where he is or what's happening, and everyone is paying attention to the President of the United States. Not him, because we know who's running the show, and it ain't Joe. He's just providing recitation of what the huddled mass tells him. Exhibit A.
You know, we are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it. So anyway, I'm going to hush up.
Please do hush up, especially about that new world order. But you know, New World Order is not what Joe meant, according to USA Today and the fact-checkers of all fact-checkers. In usual fashion, the cleanup crew had to come in to massage the words like Joe tries to massage anything that moves. Now, since that comment a few weeks ago, it's just been pouring rain on pretty much everyone. Which brings us to today's question. What has been the biggest downpour of the past few weeks? There are many choices, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you could share this video, then the sunshine may actually make an appearance. For my 2 cents, it's the Biden administration's repeal of Title 42, which President Trump put in place during the pandemic, making it so migrants would not be allowed in the country due to public health policy.
So Title 42, Hallie, was put in place by the Trump administration and had long thought to be lifted early on in the Biden administration, that this wasn't necessary to stop the spread of COVID, to keep immigrants from coming across the southern border. It's been in court battles for a long time now, and now we are understanding that the CDC has said that they believe Title 42, which is their authority to implement, can lift at the end of May. That means families coming across the border with young children. It means even single adults can cross the southern border and claim asylum. It means a return to the status quo of our asylum system that existed pre-COVID.
Since implementation, Border Patrol has used the policy 1.7 million times because, as we know, Biden continues to say, come one, come all. He encourages everyone and their drug dealer to come on in across the southern border. But hey, you Americans, still keep your kids masked up for the safety of the nation. Even the Department of Homeland Security said it is not prepared to handle the guaranteed migrant surge and acknowledges the catastrophe that will ensue from the estimated 18,000 per day number of migrants crossing the border. Let's do some simple math. 18,000 daily times 7 days is 126,000 per week. And then times that by 4 puts you at about 504,000 per month. So just 500,000 migrants coming in every month. Let's put it another way. Only about 3.5 million or more migrants by the midterm election. Can you wait for those votes to roll in? Because I know I can't.
But wait! There's more!
According to the congressional delegation from Texas, in a letter to both the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Health and Human Services, a warning was issued stating that about 25,000 migrants are currently on the Mexican side of the border, and they are just waiting for the day Title 42 is ended. And since that is about to happen, they estimate 170,000 migrants could materialize. Poof! Pulled from the sky, out of thin air. And everyone is giving the runaround about why Title 42 should end and how it's the Centers for Disease Control making the call and how it's not about immigration policy. And basically, don't blame me, they did it.
Title 42, as it is known, is a public health authority. It is not an immigration policy. And as a public health authority, it is exercised by the CDC depending upon the arc of the pandemic. And the CDC, in its expertise, we are not public health experts, in its public health expertise, decided that the use of Title 42 should come to an end when we, in the Department of Homeland Security, have ramped up our public health protocols sufficient to address migration at the southern border.
Oh, sure. Across the entire nation, not just the southern border, we continue to be peed on and told it's raining. Gas prices continue to rise, and you should be prepared to have it just continue being so.
Even if all of the oil we use in the USA were made in the USA, the price of it is still subject to powers and dynamics outside of the USA, which means that until we achieve a form of energy independence that is based on clean energy created here at home, American citizens will still be vulnerable to wild price hikes like we're seeing right now.
Thanks, Petey. Please go back on paternity leave and take your boss with you because he also lives not in reality.
I know how much it hurts. As you've heard me say before, I grew up in a family like many of you, where the price of a gallon of gasoline went up, it was discussion at the kitchen table. Our family budgets, your family budgets, to fill a tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war.
Instead, it hinges on you, the President of the United States, passing the buck and still refusing to drill at home because the truth is you want to massage the leftists with the so-called clean energy. That, by the way, takes diesel to operate. Biden has gotten desperate enough to say they want more oil from Canada, but that they still oppose Keystone XL and think shipping by rail could be an option. But
ultimately, we and the whole world need to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels altogether. We need to choose long-term security over energy and climate vulnerability. We need to double down on our commitment to clean energy and tackling the climate crisis with our partners and allies around the world. Under my plan, which is before the Congress now, we can take advantage of the next generation of electric vehicles that a typical driver will save about $80 a month from not having to pay gas at the pump. If your home is powered by safer, cheaper, cleaner electricity like solar or heat pumps, you can save about $500 a month on average. Don't take my word for it.
I won't take your word for it. Fact check, false. The White House had to walk back Biden's statement about the $500 savings being per month. Really, it's just $500 in a year. And sure, you'll save $80 per month in gas, but you'll spend the next 20 years trying to pay off the $64,000 cost of the electric vehicle, according to Kelley Blue Book's latest prices. I guess if you sell off your house and you live in your car, then hey, you'll be all set. I guess it shows that we really do need to go back to the good old days, when Jill Biden was vice president.
And I'm deeply proud of the work she's doing as First Lady with Joining Forces initiative she started with Michelle Obama when she was vice president and now carries on.
Fact check, false. Again, Biden just gaffes. He can't remember himself as vice president for 8 years and he doesn't know who is vice president now. Which brings us to... Where in the world is Kamalama Ding Dong? Kamalama has been quiet for a tad bit there, so naturally she has to pop up in another country just to embarrass pretty much everyone everywhere. In Jamaica, they speak English, and yet no one could understand what was being said in the word salad, Harris said at a press conference with Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only the issue of public health, but also the economy.
I have no idea what she just said. Can anyone please interpret Kamalama Ding Dong? And is it any wonder then that yet another of Harris's staffers has just quit? This time, the Hunger Games victim is Deputy Chief of Staff Michael Fuchs. He is the one who had accompanied her on foreign trips, and we see how well that has really gone. And you may have heard that the Circleback girl is circling the drain. A leak was reported that White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has plans to leave 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for a seat on MSNBC. But when asked about it, Psaki did what she always does. Spin, spin, spin.
Well, you can't get rid of me yet, Ed. I have nothing to confirm about my length of public service or planned service or anything about consideration about next plans. I'm very happy to be standing with all of you here today after it felt like a never-ending, endless time in my basement, quarantining away from my family. Believe it or not, I missed you all a lot. And my focus every day continues to be speaking on behalf of the president, answering your questions, as tough as they may be at many times, as difficult as they may be to answer at many times. And I hope that I meet my own bar of treating everybody with fairness and being equitable.
Sure you have.
Well, I have always gone over and above the stringent ethical and legal requirements of the Biden administration, and I take that very seriously.
I'll have more to say about that one when it happens. And I'll have a whole lot more to say if the results from a new Harvard Caps Harris poll come to fruition. Apparently, among those voting for Democrats, if Biden's not on the ticket in 2024, the next highest candidates are Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and then Bernie Sanders. Wowza. If the next presidential election has Harris or Clinton on the ticket for the Democrats, then the storms are coming on the Democrat Party. They have no one who is a viable candidate, which makes sense because their current representative is barely sentient. We still have time before the next presidential election, but based on the rain clouds still encircling all of us, now is the time to remind ourselves that eventually there will be better weather ahead. And now is the time to remind ourselves of what really matters: faith, family, and friends. So make sure to share the good word and this video with all of them. Until next time, stay healthy, America.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
It's time now for Reclaiming America with our counterculture mom, Tina Griffith. Tina, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Dr. Duke. How you doing?
I'm doing well, but not all is well in Kansas over the rainbow. Apparently, pronouns have become an issue.
Yeah, they were an issue for a while. I do have to let the listeners know that we for sure will have a good, positive movie ordeal at the end, so hang tight. But yes, Kansas teacher Dr. Duke has been suspended from her job for not using a student's preferred pronouns, and now she's suing the school. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sue the school, get him in line.
What was the confrontation?
Well, this veteran teacher, Pamela Richard, was suspended under the district's bullying and diversity and inclusion policies. And in reality, they're the bully, making up fake rules. But Ms. Ricard, a middle school math teacher who was taught at the school since 2005, devout Christian, asked for religious exemption instead of using the district's newly required practice to use students' preferred names and pronouns, Dr. Duke. She was denied the exemption. And to me, that's not even being diverse. They're being hypocritical. Her lawsuit says that Ricard is a devout Christian who believes gender is assigned by God at conception. Yay, someone that actually took the right biology class. And that any policy that requires her to refer to a student by a gendered, non-binary, or plural pronoun or other gendered language that is different from the student's biological sex actively violates her religious beliefs. She's going to get an extra jewel in her crown, Dr. Duke, when she meets the Lord face to face for standing up for truth. Basically, it's all about knowing your rights, and that's the problem here. Many people don't know their rights. This teacher did. Kudos to her for standing up for what's actually the truth.
She very well may also win this lawsuit. And you mentioned a really uplifting movie. We've got a short clip, but you go ahead and introduce the film.
Yes, actor Mark Wahlberg. Ay. He's decided to use his talents to act in a new faith-based film. This guy's my hero. The biographical movie called Father Stu is based on the life of a boxer turned priest, Father Stuart Long. Phenomenal flick. I've already done some research on it. The film encourages others to remember that God is not done with any of us yet, and he is not giving up on us, so we shouldn't give up on ourselves either. Got to check out the trailer.
Life's gonna give you a gut full of reasons to be angry. You only need one, to be grateful.
I think God saw something in you worth saving.
but it's up to you to decide what you've got to offer.
It's the place you told me you believed in me. And I thought it makes sense being back here to do this.
Your son is about to make a huge mistake.
I'm gonna be a priest.
For Halloween.
I'm praying for you, Bill.
Don't you dare. You're violating my rights.
There's a man going around taking names.
We've all been wronged, and we've all done some wrong. But he came to forgive us.
Everybody won't be treated all the same.
There's no easy way to deliver this news. You have a progressive muscle disorder. The muscles weaken until they cease to function.
Is there anything it doesn't mess with?
Yeah, erectile function.
I'm trying to be a priest, pal.
Who are you here to visit, sir?
Father Still.
You and everybody else.
When the man comes around.
We shouldn't pray for an easy life, but the strength to endure a difficult one.
You know, Mark Wahlberg has always seemed to me one of those guys in Hollywood that would be really cool to hang out with just about, right? He seems like he's picked good movies. He's got a conscience. He's very socially aware. He's very grateful to the Lord, he seems, for what he has. And so this movie looks really pretty fantastic.
It is really fantastic, and people might be thinking right now, hang on a second, Tina. A lot of his movies in the past have profanities, sexual references. Yes, but now I really believe he's on the straight and narrow, so let's pray for the guy. We're excited that this movie may inspire and reach others for Jesus. Here are some of his quotes he said recently in the news to help me really believe that he is literally seeking the Lord. Wahlberg said, for me personally, I know I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, turning my life around, and that's a daily task. Hopefully, when it's my day to be judged, I get a pass and I get to go. Now, if you're watching this, Mark, let me just tell you, if you placed your faith in Christ, you will get to go. You will see the Lord face to face. You will be in heaven. He even added, Jesus didn't come to save the righteous. He came to save the sinners. We're all weak. We are. I see a turn happening in America. It's a privilege and an honor to do Reclaiming America with you every week because I actually see progress. There are lawsuits that are being won. There are people standing up. There are parents that are taking their kids out of public school and Freedom Project Academy that you guys got going on. Numbers are through the roof. There's people downloading our app. There's people reaching out. There's people that are running for office. Dr. Duke, 20 people. My phone's blowing up this last week of people running for office because they know that our republic is hanging by a thread and they said, not on my watch. Not now. You have to go to counterculturemom.com. On it, you'll be able to donate. You'll be able to get our alerts on our Counterculture Mom app. You'll be able to sign up for our newsletter. We have a ton going on at counterculturemom.com. Download our app. Click Premium on the Counterculture Mom app. And I promise you, you will be on fire with the stories you see flying through that app. Back in your hand as a notification where you can click on those babies coming from the team that we've got here at Counterculture Ministries to let you know what to steer clear from and what movies to go see.
All right, before we wrap things up, I would like to take a moment and show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today we give a great big shout out to Rochelle, I believe how it's pronounced, from Colleyville, Texas, named after collies. I wonder if Lassie's down there. Thank you for supporting us, Texas, as always. And that's going to do it for this show. I'm Duke. Until next time, you stay educated, or else, my friends.